Guys, welcome back to the Malone 10K podcast. I'm here with Tony. How you doing today, man?
What's up, Chris? How you doing,
I'm
sir?
doing good, man. How
All
about
right.
yourself?
I'm doing great.
Man.
Doing great.
All right, man. So I want to ask you, man, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good, man. Just been a little rush day. Had a long week, but I was able to press through. So everything was good.
That's good. That's good. So I would like to start at the beginning of your life, man. How about you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
My trials. My trials started back when I was in high school.
Your childhood.
Yeah.
Oh, it started
Yeah, that. You said my trials?
your childhood.
Oh, my childhood. I thought
Yeah.
you said my trials. Oh, as a child, everything was lovely. Grew up in a two-parent household.
Mm-hmm.
Mom and dad very active in my life. Was a spoiled child. Had everything that a child can possibly think of. My family gave me the best. Now, my family didn't. We didn't take a lot of vacations and stuff like that. We didn't spend a lot of time like that because my dad worked hard and my mom worked hard. But I knew they loved me. They always told me they loved me. They did things for me, talked to me about things, and they showed me the way. And they was working to make a better life for me.
Mm-hmm.
So everything as a child was lovely. I didn't have nothing wrong in my upcoming.
You didn't have no traumas or anything?
No.
All right. Well, that's good. That's good. Well, let me ask you this. So, when you say your trials started happening in high school, what was the first incident that you can remember that got you down this road?
Well, what happened to me was peer pressure. I started hanging around the wrong crowd, and I got introduced to marijuana. Started hanging out with this guy. We started smoking marijuana, and first it was just every now and then. And then it got to the point it was every day. Every day before I would get on the school bus, we would go to the where we catch the bus early just so we could smoke weed. And then we would get on the bus, be high, laughing all the time. And that went all the way through school. Even back when I was going to school, they had a smoking area. You used to get smoke at school. So we would smoke at school too. So I was high all day. And during this time, my parents didn't have no idea because I hid. I wore a mask. I wore it very, very well. You wouldn't even never knew I smoked weed back in the day because I hid it very well.
Okay, let me ask you this. So, when you started smoking and stuff like that, were you trying to escape from anything, or were you just doing it just to have fun?
Just to have fun. Just want to be a part of, because I want to hang out with the cool people. You know what I'm saying? Just be down. And all the time, I didn't know where this was leading me to. Which my parents had talked to me about this, but I guess it didn't sink in like it needed to. I thought they didn't know what they was talking about.
Right. So when you're thinking back on it now, would you have smoked weed in the beginning if you knew it would have took you down this road?
Oh, no way. No possible way. Not at all. Not at all. Because I went through some drama in my life. Like, I went down some hell of a roads, bro.
You're saying you just feel like everything. So I want to ask you this. So what exactly is your definition of addiction?
Addiction is like it's a monster. It's something that
Is it friendly?
No, at all. I don't have no enemies, but I don't wish addiction on nobody that I dislike or nothing. Cause man, that thing, it can take you so many places and bury you up under the hell. And sometimes you feel like you can't come out. Like, damn, am I ever gonna come out of this? Cause addiction ain't nothing. Not only hurt you, it hurts your family. Cause they going through with you with that process.
Right. I want to ask you this. Whenever you were going through was it strictly marijuana with this addiction?
Well, I'm gonna go down the story a little bit. When I got out of high school, I dropped out of high school in 11th grade, and I was only going to school half a day. And I messed around and started hanging with some more guys that I knew, and I got introduced to cocaine. But I started selling cocaine at this time, and eventually I advanced to smoking cocaine.
So let me ask you this: when you were going through this, how were you feeling? Were you feel like it was the right thing to do, or were you just going through it?
At that time, it was good because I was making money. Because first, I wasn't strung out on cocaine. I was making a lot of money. It's back in 1987 when the crack epidemic first hit. So I was making money. Plus, I was getting high, but I made enough money to support my high,
Right. So let me ask you this: were there people in your life trying to help you at this time, or were you just still putting the same mask on? Were you able to hide it?
Well, at this time, eventually my parents gonna find out what I was doing. I was at the house. I was out there. You know what I mean? I wasn't hearing what nobody was saying because I was having money. I was having everything my way at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: did your ego ever play a part in this? You ever feel like you were just the big dog on campus?
Oh yeah, because I had money, I had the women, I had the cars, I had everything I wanted. What else could I have? I'm 19 years old, man, having all the money I want. You know what I'm saying? Smoking all the drugs I want, all the women, going out, partying. Well, I mean, it was the life.
Okay, let me ask you this: when did reality finally hit you?
Reality hit me when I started going down, man. It got to a point where I started smoking more of my supply than I did selling, and it started just taking me, just dragging me real hard.
So let me ask you this: whenever you're going through this, did you ever see a way out, or did you just
I knew, in my heart, Chris, I knew this wasn't me. Right. But that addiction had me like, come on, you going. It was just pulling me like somebody pulling down when you going. So it was just pulling me, you know what I mean? But I knew this ain't me. But I couldn't let go at that time.
Were you big on mental health back then?
No. Mental health wasn't big back in 87, 86. It ain't big like it is now.
Right. So let me ask you this. I want to ask you about your hold on. When did you first get convicted?
Back in 1991. Yeah, 91, I think. I got a possession case. Went to jail, stayed in jail about 3 days, and got out and went back to the cut store selling dope again.
So when you first happened, you just kind of brushed it off and said, "Oh, this is nothing.
This ain't nothing." Because I had money to get myself out of jail. I wasn't tripping. You know what I'm saying? Stayed in about 2 or 3 days. When my friends come bum me out, I got right back on the cut. But when I got back on the cut, during that time before I got the possession, I had sold to an undercover twice and didn't even know it.
So they were building up a case on you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. Yeah. What were you... So let me ask you this. Whenever you got sent to prison, what was the feeling you had when the judge hit the gavel on the thing and said you're going to prison?
At that time, I kind of felt bad, but I was still like in denial.
You didn't want to admit?
I just didn't want to admit it, man. But I know I would hurt my parents, but I'm like, man, this ain't going to be nothing. But the whole time I was in prison, man, I didn't rehabilitate myself to nothing. All I was doing down there was getting other connections because I knew when I got out, I knew what I was going to do. Right. But I was telling my parents and my girlfriend at that time that I'm going to do the right thing. But I already knew what I was going to do. I was just getting connections, man.
Right.
That's all I was doing.
So you think when you got out, you're going to have you a whole lot more?
That part.
So was a big part of it. So how is your connection with your ego? Because I feel like that's a big ego to really go through what you went through.
Yeah, it had a lot to do with it. It was just a lifestyle that nobody couldn't tell me what to do. I had what I wanted. I could do what I wanted to do. And then you come up as only child. That's what you kind of used to, too, having everything your way. So it's like, boom, I got it.
You got it. So let me ask whenever you was in prison, you just thought that you was going to move through life, and you're saying when you get out, you're going to just do all this saying X, Y, and Z. When did it really get to a point to where you're going to sit there and be like, I'm going to just stop this?
Well, I went to prison twice.
I didn't know you went twice.
Yes, I went twice. The second time I went. The first time I wasn't tripping.
How long were you there?
The first time I did 13 months, and the second time I only did 7 months.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to loop back to the question, but I'll ask the question. How was your mental during the second time you were there?
How did it mentally mess with me?
How were you mentally when you went there the second time?
Second time I was like, man, I'm tired of this, like I'm dragging my parents down, I'm dragging myself down, and this ain't life. You know what I'm saying? When somebody got to tell you when to get up, when to go to bed, wearing these color whites all the time, it's hot, you're working for nothing. I know this wasn't it. So at that time, and I went the second time, like, I ain't coming back. I know I'm not coming back. I'm done with this life. Because I was tired.
Did you ever believe that your life was in danger when you were in prison?
A couple of times, yes, when it was routes, yeah. I had the routes, yeah. That was pretty scary because people got killed. So, I wasn't used to nothing like that.
Right.
But,
So let me ask you this. Whenever you... It's a back page. Let me ask you this. Your time in prison... Oh, no, we're not going to stay on that long, I promise. When it comes to your time in prison, I want to ask you something. Whenever you were talking to your parents, and were you dating at the time when you went the second time?
the second time, was I dating? No, I wasn't dating nobody because my girlfriend, when I went first time with my daughter's mother, we was together. But the second time, she was just tired of my mess, so I wasn't with no one then.
Right.
Yeah.
So, were you ever, whenever you going through, okay, then let me ask you this, the first time, were you ever thinking of your daughter?
Of course I was. Of course I was. But I wasn't showing it. I was just thinking about, this ain't the way. What kind of example am I being to her by being in here, and telling her that I'm going to do right when I got out. And I knew I wouldn't. I knew exactly what I was going to do the first time. I knew exactly what I was going to do. So
how were you able to finally get that hold off of you? Because it seemed like it's been with you for a hot minute.
Yeah, for a hot minute, man. I'm going to go a little deeper than this, man. The second time when I got out, man, I had been to rehabs like 5 times, and it didn't help me, man. It didn't help me at all. But I was in Waco, Texas, and I used to go to church with this lady. We used to go to prayer service every Saturday morning. And, man, I had a spiritual experience with God, and it just changed my life, man. I mean, all them times I went to rehab, it didn't do nothing for me. But when I was at that church in Waco, Texas, I had a spiritual experience with God, where I started purging. And, man, it's like, I was sitting in a pew, man. All of a sudden, man, I don't know what happened. It's like something picked me up, and it just threw me against the wall, and I was just pent, bro. And I just started foaming at the mouth. And it started right there. But the thing about this is, even after the experience, I went out and got high. But the thing about it was, I couldn't get high no more. It just, every time I tried to, I just couldn't get high. It got to the point I started giving away crack. And I don't give away no crack.
Right.
Yeah. So at that point, I knew it was done. It was over.
So do you believe that everything happened? So what was one of the biggest takeaways you took away from your experience with that?
The biggest takeaway, trust God no matter what. Trust God, because God changed my life. Even though my mom took me to church when I was young, I strayed away, but it was in me. So don't never give up on God. It might seem like it's at the end, because I was at the point, I was like, man, it's over, man. Am I going to be like this for the rest of my life? Like I said, I went to rehab 5 times.
Nothing helped.
Nothing helped. Nothing helped. Now, I'm not knocking rehab. It's good.
Right.
But it wasn't for me. My connection was with God. So I knew, I don't regret nothing about my life, because God took me through that all for a reason, for me to be an example for somebody else, to show them that they can make it.
Right.
Because look at me now compared to where I was. So God took me through that for a reason. Not saying it was fun, but God, he took me through that and brought me out. He already knew what I was going to go through, but he knew in the end I was going to come out better.
So let me ask you this. What were some of the challenges you faced when you got out the second time?
Some of the biggest challenge was finding a job, man. When you got a felony conviction, it's hard, man. People don't want to hire you. You know what I'm saying? You got family members looking at you like, golly, is he changed? Is he gonna do the same thing? You got some friends that you went to high school with, like looking at you like, man, this ain't you. Like, is you gonna keep doing the same stuff? So you got all this stuff playing in your head, and it can distract you. You know what I mean? And make you go back to using. But thank God that that I did. But thank God I just didn't get stuck in that.
Right. So you were able to put yourself through.
Mm-hmm.
So how were you able to let go for the betterment of yourself? Like when you finally couldn't get high no more, when did you finally just say you're just done with it completely?
I was somewhere and I was just like, I just couldn't get high. Like, I'm still smoking this dope. And I just couldn't get high. Just like, man, I'm just done with this because it ain't doing me no good. Because I can't get high. I couldn't even get high. It was just funny, man. I could not get high no more. No matter how much I smoke, I could not get high.
You couldn't figure out why.
I couldn't. I knew it.
Well, you knew why.
Not at that time, but once I went home and just sit down and got quiet, and God started speaking to me, boom, came to me. when I put you on that wall, and you had that experience for me.
You had everything came back full circle.
It's felt full circle.
So let me ask you this: do you still actively pursue mental health, or do you just rely, or not just rely, or do you just talk to God?
I talk to God a lot. I meditate, but my thing is with God. Mm. I'm in tune with God. You know what I mean? I don't go to AA meetings, and I don't do that because it ain't for me. You know, I'm not knocking it. It's for other people. I have some friends that it help them, but my intake is with God. Staying in tune with God, walking this life, being an example for other people, encouraging other people, especially young juveniles. I haven't been since I came back. I haven't gotten into the ministry where I can go into the juveniles and share with them the experience. When I was up north, that's what I did. But eventually, I'm going to get back in that.
Okay, I want to ask you about your time when you're talking to juveniles. Whenever you would see them, did you see a part of yourself in them?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. But number one thing is peer pressure. Peer pressure, no fathers in the household. Or a lot of people, the mother and father gone, so they living with their grandmother and grandfather. And then they can't handle the young kids now. You know what I mean? Because it's a different ball game now.
Right.
So when I talk, I get vulnerable, and I be honest with people because I don't have nothing to hide. I'm an open book.
Right.
Yeah. Because God made me, man. He made me. He took me through that for a reason. So I'm not ashamed of my life. I'm not ashamed of the things I did because I'm just a testimony.
So now you believe that you're able to speak the truth because whenever you see yourself in these little kids, do you ever sit there and look at one? I mean, when you talk to the juveniles, do you talk to them like you're their friend? Or do you talk to them like you're really trying to help them?
Both. I do a little bit both because I want to get in their hearts. I don't want to get them where they get apart from me. They're not feeling what I'm saying.
Right.
So I try to grab them in, and then I let them be open and free and let them speak too, because I don't want to judge them. You know what I mean? But I always tell them about my experience because I've been in the same shoes they have, so they can kind of relate to me better. Versus if you went in, maybe you couldn't relate because you never did drugs, none of prison. So you couldn't relate to that. They could relate to me better.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay, let me ask you this. The main thing I want to ask you, what really inspired you to write a book?
What inspired me to write a book was I was in when I was when I moved up north, a lot of things changed for me, man. A lot of things changed. I was in a brotherhood group, and it's a lot of guys in that group doing great things, and they always challenge you to do things. They knew about my story, and they said, "Man, you got a book. Want to write a book?" I'm like, "Me?" He said, "Yeah, man, you got a book, and that book can help some people, man." And I thought about it. I said, "Yeah, I'm going to write a book." I never thought I would write a book, but I know that this book can change people's lives. Not even with just, the drug thing. People going to prison, even somebody with addiction with food, it could help them. You know what I mean? So I think whatever you put your mind to, you could do it. Because I ain't 20 years ago, tell me write a book. No way. No possible way.
But you said ultimately you believe that now, then what they said, what they say, sometimes that you're not ready for something yet. When you're ready for it, now you're able to do it.
Right.
So now you have to write the book. So what was some of the times you did writing the book? Did you know where to start, or did you just start writing?
Just started writing. It was just natural because it's my life story. I never was stuck. My publisher gave me a guideline. He said, do this, and do this. Just write. And that's what I did. I just wrote. Because it was just natural. Everything in the book is it's my life.
So when you go, like I said, you said you have no regrets, and you said everything came back full circle. So when you wrote the book, when you first started trying to publish the book, when you first heard a person read your book and said they enjoyed the book, how did you feel?
I felt good. My mother's the first one read it. Because I had a book. She was going to have me a book signed. And she said, as soon as you get the book, send them to me.
Right.
And I sent it to her. She the first one. She said, oh, my God. She said, I didn't know some of the things. Some things in the book that she didn't know about my life. Because I got naked, man. I told everything. Everything.
Let me ask you this. About being a parent. I want to ask you something. There's a question I asked my friend I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Did you raise your kids based off how you think you should have been raised? or how you think they should be raised?
That's a good question. Repeat that one more time.
I said, how did you raise? Did you raise your kid based on how you think you should have been raised, or how you think they should be raised?
I think they should be raised, because I was raised. I was raised good. Don't get me wrong, but I think my parents now they should have been a little harder on me. Just being a spoiled child, but they didn't know no better, because they grew up poor, so they wanted the best for me. You know what I mean? Now they told me about responsibilities, about work and all that. But far as I think they should have just been a little bit not spoil me as much. So I don't think that you should just spoil kids all the time, because they can hurt them, because they always think somebody owes them something, and then when you get in that world, it's a dog world, man.
So how do you differentiate the two? 'Cause I mean, I feel like with a parent, I feel like you always want to give your kids everything. So how do you differentiate the two?
Well, I think it should reward a kid. I don't think every time you go in the store, give them something.
Right.
Every time they want a pair of Jordans, no. You're gonna have to work for that. You're gonna do, you're gonna have to reward. Okay, give me the AB honor roll. You know what I mean? Make sure you're doing your chores, stuff like that. So I don't think it should just be spoiled. I don't mind giving them something, but not just spoiled rotten, because that can hurt them.
Okay, let me ask you this. Here's one. I wanted to ask you, how do you explain your past to your kids?
Well, my kids didn't know about my past. They came to I had a book signing in Hallsville, Texas, and they came. They never knew nothing about me. They didn't have no idea. They heard me speaking about it, and they were shocked. They couldn't believe it. That's how they found out.
Were you ashamed to tell your kids about it?
At that point, I wasn't ashamed, man, because I was just open. Like, the world needs to know this. My children need to know this from me. Because they didn't know who I am. And then that'll give them that'll give them some clarity of why I went in their life for a reason, for a while, in and out. So they were like, okay, now I kind of understand why my dad was doing this.
Right. So let me ask you this. What were some of the challenges of you being in and out? What were some of the challenges you face as a parent when you're not there all the time?
The biggest thing is when another man come in and they give their stepfather more respect than they do me. But it's okay. I had to accept it, because that man was there when I wasn't there. So I give him the credit. I can't take that, but it still hurt.
Right.
It still hurt, but I made that bed. But me and my children had a great relationship now. But that's something I created, and I can't take that back. My daughter, most daughter, she probably closer to her stepfather than she was to me. We got a good relationship, but it's okay, because I made that bed. There's nothing I can do about it, but be the best father I can be now.
Right. So you're saying, so you really don't, I don't want to say trip. You don't really like mellow in the past. You just accept it is what it is and move forward on what it is now.
Move forward, man. But I'm gonna look back in the past. It ain't gonna do no good. I just gotta keep moving. Only thing, the biggest thing I got now is my word is my bond. My children, they know that they can depend on me no matter what. That's my biggest thing.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. So, one question I wanted to ask you was, what is your plan for the next 5 years?
The plan for the next 5 years is what I want to do, man, is get some recovery houses. And recovery houses, like people getting out of prison, people get out of jail, a place to come, and I can help them get back into society. That's what I want to do. Yeah, that's.
I want to say, how so you getting excited about? How long you been thinking about doing that?
I've been doing it for about the last 8 years. I was gonna do it in Indiana, but when my mom passed and I ended up getting divorced, I moved back here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you this. Whenever you're thinking about your life as a whole now, and you're thinking about what you've become and places you've been, what's one thing you still want to? What's still one thing on your bucket list you still want to get knocked out?
One thing on my bucket list I would like to get knocked out. One thing. One thing I would like to do on my bucket list. That's a good question. That's a lot of things. I would say.
Take your time, man.
Yeah.
Take your time.
One thing I would like for a man that something has never happened. I would like for me and my children, my grandchildren, and my siblings to take a trip together. Mm-hmm. Like we just go somewhere. We spend time together on holidays, but we never actually went on a trip. If we did, somebody missing out the bunch. But I would like for everybody to be there.
Right. So when has family started to become a big part of your life?
Family's always been a big part of my life. Always. You know, it just I strayed away from it. But family always been, because my family always been around.
Right.
Always.
So let me ask you this. Whenever you're thinking about, well, past your life as a whole and you're writing a book and doing all these things, let me ask you this. Are you happy?
Yes, most definitely. I'm very happy. Not every day's happy, you know, you got trials. Yeah, but overall, I'm happy, man. I'm happy where I am in life for the challenges that I've been, because I got some friends, man, they didn't make it. Or I got some friends that still out there doing the same thing. So thank God that I made it on this other side, because I got some friends in prison, I got some that died, and I got some they just lost. So thank God that I'm still here.
Right. I want to ask you something. What got you into trucking?
Got me into trucking. I'm a kind of person, I don't like anybody tell me what to do.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. So I like that freedom. I like that freedom versus going in a plant somewhere working this my dog. I don't really like that.
I can see that. Is there anything specific that you want to speak about or promote?
What I want to leave with everybody though is don't never give up on a person, whoever it be. It could be your wife, your husband, your kids, your mama. Just don't give up, because I think eventually over time it'll change if you trust God. I just really believe that, because my mom, she never gave up on me, man. All the crap I took her through, me and my mom never gave up on me. And thank God, when she passed, that everything, I was good. So I know she went with peace, because I didn't want to. One thing I never did want to be out there in the streets or in our prison and my mom leave. You know what I mean? So she saw me at a good place before she left. So I'm just telling her, don't give up, man. Just keep trusting, and I know things will change, because here it is, you know.
You're here today. You're able to have this wonderful podcast with me and everything. I got one more question for you, man.
Okay.
What's your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby is working out.
I can tell you look swole.
Yeah, I like to work out. You release stress, you know what I mean? So I love to work out. I like to do obstacle runs. The Rugged Maniac, where you run through fire, run over obstacles, run on wall, run under the
kind of like a Spartan race?
Yeah, like a Spartan race. It's called Rugged Maniac.
Mm.
Yeah, so I like doing those.
You're a very interesting man. I'm sorry. You're a very interesting man.
Yeah.
Very interesting man. But with this final note, I would like to say this, man. It's really been a privilege and an honor, man, to have this podcast with you. I never thought you'd be having a podcast right now.
Yeah, I'm very proud of you, Christopher. I'm very proud. I've been knowing you since you were a little baby. So I'm very proud of you, young man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
All right.
Good? Good.
Dang, boy, you got some tough questions. I could use the bathroom, man.
You were that nervous?
No, because they were just some good questions.